Hello again. It's like long time no see. Bear with me, I'm just sharing the video into the groups. Leave a comment if you're watching. I shall see them in a minute. Okay. Right. I'll get a whisk and hi Helen. Spatula. Hi Kathy. Okay. So I'm making the marble celebration cake I was meant to make last week. And then ended up having to cancel it. So I'm going to do this as like individual portions. So this is meant to make a big cake like that. But I figured out I'm going to do the same amount of mix, I think. I'm trying to decide because this is two giant cake mixes. Hi Karen. I knew I had these somewhere. These are Easter egg molds. So they're little silicone molds and they're perfect for cake. So I thought I'd do them for Christmas, Easter. Oh my God, it's only March. And then I also have these ones which are really good for individual portion sizes. We've got tons of silicone molds in the cupboards. I've got some cupcake cases. So I'm just trying to figure out, do I make 2 regular size cake portions or do I halve everything, which makes it like 1 cake portion overall? It will require me weighing out some eggs. That's decided it. I can't be bothered to weigh out eggs. We're going to do 2 portions of cake mix, which will make quite a lot of cake. This is meant for a 3-tier celebration cake, but instead of using 3 7-inch cake tins, I'm just going to use a bunch of molds. So I'm going to start by making the chocolate cake mix, as it says. So to make the chocolate cake, whisk together eggs, almond milk, and vanilla extract to a bowl. So I'm going to follow this recipe. I think I have literally everything. The butter, which will come in a couple of steps time, it can be replaced for olive oil or coconut oil. Let's use this. I need 3 to start with. And then I'll get another 3 for the vanilla cake. Don't need to weigh that. So 3 eggs. Hi Jen. How are we all? Apologies for the lack of lives recently. I've just been sorting out the plan for next week. Oh, we don't want big chunks of shell. Okay. Eggs, almond milk, vanilla is the first step. And I'll use the whisk. So we want 240 mils of almond milk. This can be replaced for any other milk of choice. You can use watered down cream if you want. Don't use just cream because it's quite a bit heavier than almond milk. It's going to be most of this carton that's left. Almost. Okay, and vanilla, a teaspoon, so about 4 or 5 grams. You can measure it out if you want. I don't, I just weigh it. We do have to be careful with this stuff, though. That's the stuff we use in the bakery, so it's quite strong. Okay, I'll give that a whisk. And add the dry ingredients. I like to mix in the cocoa before adding the rest and whisk. Finally, add the melted butter and mix until smooth. Okay. Sorry if you can hear the dogs. I think they've got a bone. And they do make some weird noises. Alright, cocoa powder is in a giant sour cream tub. It's a common theme in this house. Sour cream tubs and Greek yogurt tubs are very rarely filled with what they say they are. I need quite a lot of cocoa powder for this. So 65 grams. So this is the decadent chocolate cake recipe, if you're just looking at making a chocolate cake. You could sieve this. I can't be bothered. Oh no, Jan. Is the video not loading for you? I don't have anything wrong with my Wi-Fi, fingers crossed, but it's not telling me I have anything wrong with my Wi-Fi at the moment. Maybe see if YouTube is better. Okay, coconut flour. I know it says to whisk in, I wrote this recipe and I'm still ignoring what I say. I say to whisk in the cocoa powder before adding everything else, but I always get fed up using a whisk because it just clumps together in the middle. So I'm going to use the spatula and just sort of gently fold everything in. And adding the coconut flour will sort of help the cocoa powder mix easier. 30 grams, you can adjust this to your taste of sweetener. This is the erythritol and monk fruit blend, but you can use erythritol and stevia if you're buying from the stores. All right, I need to put baking powder in as well. Just going to start that mixing. Takes a little while for cocoa powder to absorb. Is this a Facebook issue then, Phil? Does it not like playing the video? Is anyone else having issues? The one live we do this week. And tech problems again. I need to remember not to stand right over the bowl. Get cocoa powder up my nose. Gently folding this in. Basically, just want to make sure you get rid of any lumps. Okay, Sal says YouTube is fine. So if anyone's having issues with Facebook, then hop over to our YouTube channel, see if that works. All right, I'm going to add baking powder in and carry on mixing. So a teaspoon of baking powder, which is about 5 grams. Come on, reset. Doesn't matter. Fine, not going to reset. We'll go to 130 then. Okay, so it looks like it's half and half. Some people are having problems with Facebook, some aren't. Near the ice cream van. It's not really a day for ice cream. But... Alright, last ingredient to this is butter. Oh, and a bit of salt. So I'm going to get a small dish so we can melt the butter into that. A pinch of salt. And then we can set this aside. So, little dish, there it. And I want 70 grams of unsalted butter. So Kathy's changed over to YouTube, no worries. At least I'm not having, like, Wi-Fi issues today, because that would just top it all off, wouldn't it? Hopefully I've not jinxed that. 70 grams. Alright, it's a really oversized lid, but it does the job. I'll put that in the microwave. We do have a smaller lid somewhere, I just can't find it. So I'm using that one. As long as it stops the butter from exploding all over the microwave, I'm happy. Okay, mostly all of the lumps are out now. As I said, if you want, you can use a whisk. But the chocolate cake recipe does get quite thick quite quickly, so just beware, don't leave the whisk in, you'll just cause yourself a nightmare. Hello, CC Rotherham. Right, vanilla cake mix. Another 3 eggs, which will whisk with double cream first, and then the rest of the ingredients. Both of these cake recipes are very simple, obviously. I don't do complicated most of the time. Right, butter's done. Perfect. Oh, I can show you what I made just a few minutes ago. So before I was live, I was actually filming a recipe video. It's really hot. Just going to slowly add this in. If the butter's really hot, then let it cool down a bit before adding it to the mix. The butter itself isn't warm, it's just the bottom of the glass that was. So gently folding that in. Get it all mixed in. So yeah, I was filming a video before I came on live. And I was wondering what I would do, whether I could tie it into this live, but I think marble cake on its own is fine. I mean, obviously you can build it up as a celebration cake. The recipe on the, there you go, there's the mix. Nice and silky. Leave that to one side, I'll do the vanilla. The recipe that I've linked in the description has a bunch of other links on it for various toppings. So like there's the truffles recipe, there's a ganache recipe, there's some buttercream in there. I'm literally just doing the sponges today. This is 180 grams of double cream, which again can be replaced with olive oil if you want. Could do with another whisk. Don't need another whisk, another spatula. Don't need to use that anymore. So, 3 large eggs, 180 grams of double cream. Let's do the vanilla first before adding all the dry ingredients. So it's a little bit more, it's 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla in this because obviously it's the predominant flavour. So about 6 grams, 6 mils. It's the same. I'll give that a mix in. And then this is the original version of the vanilla cupcakes recipe in the library. I've not doubled it, 1.5 times it to get the same sort of mix volume as the chocolate. So you get an even sort of, I don't need coconut flour, I need ground almonds. An even distribution of cake flavours. So if you're looking for a completely nut-free version of the cake, then that can be done. I put scissors somewhere. Where did I put them? Can anyone see scissors? I'll get another pair out. They've disappeared and I got them out specifically for this live. I bet they're like right under my nose and I just can't see them. Anyhow, I was saying, you can make this a nut-free cake. So you want to replace the ground almonds with coconut flour and you'll need an extra egg. So 190 grams of ground almonds. And if you're looking for the nut-free version, go on the website and search vanilla muffins. And you'll find it there. They have shortchanged me 10 grams of almonds because there's no way that's up to 200 grams. Anyway, 190 grams of ground almonds, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, about 6 or 7 grams. And for anything else, I get a sweetener. Again, adjust to taste. It says 40 grams for this. If you have a different type of sweetener, like xylitol, I have a conversions page on the website. Search sweeteners and you'll find it. Pinch of salt. And that's it. I'll just mix it together. This one mixes in quite nicely. I've closed the door so the dogs don't interrupt the live too much. I don't know what they're barking at. Okay, nice and smooth. It's runnier than the chocolate one. That's not a problem. It actually makes it quite easy to mix. So, my idea with this is to make life more complicated by not using just one big cake tin. I'm going to use individual ones, which will be really nice for storage. but it'll mean a little bit more work sort of mixing everything together. But we have time. And I wanted to get at least one of these in the oven so that whilst I'm doing the rest of them, one of them's cooking and hopefully I can show the final result. So you can weigh this out if you want. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to do a spoon in each mix. And essentially with marble cakes, you want to first add like a patchwork of cake mix. So I'm going to do basically 2 layers of cakes. So I'm spooning one of the flavours into one side, and then it's kind of moving across the base of the mould. It's not completely one layer. And then we'll add the second flavour. Give that a mix. And then do the same again. These won't rise much, so I want to fill the moulds at least 2/3 high. Like, they do rise to give it a cakey look, but, you know, not as much as maybe a standard cake. So, move out of the way. I put the vanilla cake on the left-hand side of this mould. Chocolate cake's going on the right. And you don't have to make this marble. You can just like add layers and just have cool sections of vanilla and chocolate throughout the sponge. I might do that with the Easter eggs because they're quite shallow. Okay, here we go. The chocolate is less runny, so it's staying where it's meant. So you can see how it's not filling up the entire area. I need a blunter knife. You want a knife or an edge of a spoon or something like that. And the key with marble cakes is don't overmix it. If you just start stirring it together, you'll just get a weird mush of different sponges. You want lines and you want patches of different flavour. So I'm only going to do 2 swirls. I know this is hard to see with the camera angle. I'll see, actually. Bear with. I'll see if I can move the camera so we get a better angle. So I want to zoom in. No, that's out. I'll move the book out of the way, don't worry. It's always harder when you're on your own doing this. Let's move that. There we go. Oh. Okay, that'll do. I hope that's all right. You can kind of see some of the swirls already. Okay, so I've done these 2 at the top. So I'm going to use my knife and slowly sort of drag it around. I'm literally just doing 2 swirls in each one at the moment. Mainly just trying to get the vanilla to swirl a little bit. And I think because of how gloopy the chocolate cake is, I'm just going to do 1 final dollop of vanilla because there's not much room left in these moulds. That's better. Great, Kathy. It's nice when the camera's this zoomed in because there's not a lot it can focus on. So it tends to be a clearer image. So now I'm putting the vanilla sponge over the top of the chocolate because right now these have a base of vanilla. And these look best, obviously, when you slice them open. So, but they're also good because you don't need to add like a topping or something to make them look really pretty. If you get a nice swirl on top, like that one's got quite a distinguished swirl, that will stay as it bakes. So they're ideal if you're taking them somewhere that, you know, if you're taking them in the car, you don't really want something that will smudge on top if it's going to be in a container. These don't need any icing to look pretty. All right, so that's 2 spoons of vanilla to 1 spoon of chocolate. And again, I'm just going to do 1 final swirl like that. That one was quite a nice one, actually. It's got a nice swirl in it. And I'm just very carefully sort of bringing up some of the chocolate sponge to bring it to the top, so that it looks like a nice swirl pattern. There we go. That looked pretty good. Right, and very gently. There you go. So I'm going to pop them in. It's not very efficient to put just these in the oven, but I want to get something cooking whilst we do the rest. Hang on. Right. Oven's been preheating at 180. We'll see how they go. What time is it? It's 23 minutes past, so how long do they not? Well, this is for the big cake. It usually takes 30 to 40 minutes. I reckon in 15, 20 minutes these will be done. So we'll just carry on. Let's do chocolate first in these ones. Yeah, that was maybe a better option. Choose the thicker cake mix because it stays put. This is a very similar method to the baked cheesecake brownie recipe, obviously just using 2 cake sponges rather than a brownie recipe and a cheesecake recipe, in the sense that you don't want to over swirl it. I'm getting cake mix on the table now. Oh, I might leave them as they are, just diagonal cakes. They look awesome. For the baked cheesecake brownie, you pour all of the brownie recipe or brownie mix in the tray to start with, then pour all the cheesecake mix on top and just sort of swirl it around to bring some of the brownie mix up to the top, so you get the contrast. Okay, so I'll do these ones as mostly half and half and a tiny swirl in the middle, I think. In the Creative Bakes book, which is where I originally published this recipe, obviously I was using 7-inch cake tin. And for that, let me get the book and I can show you the photos. For that, again, I used the chocolate cake mix to start with. There you go. So that photo there, I used the chocolate cake mix to start with as dollops, then fed the vanilla on top and just kept adding dollops and dollops until I used all the mix across the 3 tins and then swirled it together. But you can see how it's very distinguished. It's mostly patches of cake mix with small swirls. Again, if you overmix, it's not as if it's going to go wrong. You don't get the 2 distinguished flavours. So I'm literally just doing 1 swirl between these 2 flavours, should I say. Gently twisting the knife. That one looks nice. Okay, there's the second lot. They look quite cool. I set them to one side whilst I do the Easter eggs. So these are a bit smaller, a bit shallower, but they really do hold their shape when you take them out of the silicone case. Which one's going to be best? I'll fill these with vanilla to start with. And these might just end up being layers rather than a swirl. I'll do half and half. I'll do some with the vanilla on the bottom and some with the chocolate on the bottom. So silicone cases are great for this kind of stuff because obviously they're reusable and you don't have to store them in the packaging. They just pop out and then they're fine. However, one thing I would say is be careful when you're buying silicone molds. If the silicone is too thick, then the cake just won't bake properly because it doesn't conduct heat very well. So we have the Ninja sort of thing. It's got 7 cake molds in it. It's designed to fit in the circular Ninja Foodie, but it's just too thick, so nothing bakes properly in it. So we've never used it with success. Oops. I can't remember what I originally made this for. Did I say in the book? No, I didn't have much space with all the instructions. I know I obviously made it for a celebration. I just can't remember what celebration it was for. When would I have made it? Like summer? Might have been my birthday, but I don't remember. Usually Louis makes my birthday cakes. The great thing about it is the cake itself was actually quite minimal. Obviously the truffles on it made it look really fancy, but it was just set together with some buttercream. There's no sort of fancy decorating on top, no fancy icing. The marble just sort of means you don't really have to do much else to make people go, wow, that's a nice cake. Okay, half and half layers. I'm going to leave them as they are. I've got some silicone cupcake cases I'll use next. We've had these for so long. Hi Sal, I made the baked cheesecake brownies last week. They were very yummy. Yeah, they are, aren't they? I really do like those. No, I keep going for vanilla first, but chocolate works way better as a base. So we'll do a spoon of chocolate. These are obviously quite tall, so I'll probably do 3 small spoons of cake mix per case. Still got loads of mix left. See, Karen, I don't know whether it was for Louis' birthday because I don't think I was making Creative Bakes recipes in February. So I can't remember what it was for. Maybe I just made it up. Maybe I just wanted to make a celebration cake recipe and just decided to make something up that we could celebrate. I can't remember what it was. Right. A spoon of vanilla. I'll tell you what I have done before as well, excuse the dogs, is I've added some mint essence to the chocolate mix before. That was really nice. I would add some orange, that would be my go-to. That would work really nicely. But Louis not a fan of chocolate orange. I don't get that. Right, let's do a little swirl and we can see if I need to add a bit more cake mix. I think I will. I think a bit of chocolate cake mix. Yeah, that one looks nice though. Look at that. That's an awesome swirl. Maybe it was my own birthday. I can't remember now. I've only made it once as that full celebration cake, I know that. Right, I'm just going to do another swirl with this new dollop of cake mix. Yeah, and that looks like enough mix now to make a decent sized cupcake. Bring some vanilla into there. There we go. Right, let's get out another. Actually, I've got a tin here as well. So I've got loads of silicone molds filled, but I also have a cake tin. I think that might be a bit too big actually. Yeah, it is. I've not got much chocolate mix left. I've got quite a bit of vanilla left. Let's see. Oh, this will work nicely. I use this when I have leftover cheesecake mix because usually if I'm making a baked cheesecake, and actually there was a video that went on the channel yesterday, went live. Oh, I don't have to put paper in that way. If I'm making a cheesecake, then I usually have leftover mix for the tin that can fit in the foodie, so I make a little one as well. This tin's fairly non-stick, but I'm just going to line the bottom to make it easier to pick up. And because I have more vanilla than chocolate, I'll add the vanilla on first. Let's just get the spatula out. Set that aside. Okay, so let's do half of the vanilla mix. Which mostly covers the base, like so. And then almost all of the chocolate mix, but I'll hold some back in case it doesn't really come through in the top layer. I've set the spatulas aside for a moment, just so I can clear the bowls out. All right, and with the chocolate cake mix, I'm going to do 1 dollop on one side and 1 dollop on the other. That's sort of pushed out some of the vanilla a bit more as well. I'm going to use the knife and sort of drag it around. You can swirl it a bit easier in a cake tin this big. There you go, look at that. I'm well proud of that. So that was basically going in lines and then a nice swirl around the outside to sort of swirl it around like that. I don't want to move it too much. And then the last bit of vanilla, which I'll add in dollops, just to sort of help some of the chocolate break through. More mix falling on the table. Lovely. I'll swirl that around. Get some of the chocolate poking through. And then I'll use a spatula to get the last bits of chocolate mix. Little dollops on the top. It almost feels a shame because that first layer was such a beautiful swirl, but you'll still see it on the inside. And then that's bits of vanilla. I'll check on the cakes in the oven in a minute because they've been in for maybe 10-15 minutes. Oh, they've risen really well. They need to go a bit more golden. So a couple more minutes. But they should be good even if they're not completely done. They'll be good to show you. Now I want to be really careful because I don't want to overmix this at the top. But I've got some nice swirls there. Yes. Okay. And very carefully, I'm going to tilt that so you can see the swirls. That's quite a deep cake, that. So that will probably be half an hour. These will be the quickest because they're the shallowest, maybe 15 minutes at tops. And these, same as the ones in the oven, 15 to 20 minutes. I'll sort the camera out so you can see me properly again. Need to get this side. Alright, so I'll zoom out and I need to go down because I am short. Oh, you can see the pecan butter as well. I'm going to show you that. That'll do. The camera angle might be a little bit off. How low am I? Oh no, it's fine. So, before I was live, I was making this. So this is toasted pecan butter. So that will be a video going on the channel. I made 1.5-ish jars of it. We save all of our like almond butter jars. I could have probably done with using a peanut butter one because they are bigger, but I didn't realise how much I was making. And it tastes really good, which is literally just roasted pecans, 10 minutes in the Ninja, just to give them a bit of colour. And then you blitz them down with some coconut oil and add sweetener if you would like. And you can add, what would really work nicely is a bit of cinnamon or mixed spice as well. But the recipe's on the website if you wanted to check that out as well. I will have a look at these. They're probably not going to be completely done, but they'll be done enough for you to see the swirl and how it sort of keeps whilst it's baking. Yeah. So they're not golden enough, I would say. I can't get the small tray out, so we're just going to take the whole thing. Lovely. It's like a balancing act. But they have risen really nicely. Look at that. So you can see the swirls. I'm sorry, I can't get the camera to focus. And you can see how high they've gone. But they're not golden on top, and they're still a tiny bit sort of jelly-like. So I'll pop them in. Within 5 minutes, they'll be done. Especially that close to the top of the oven. But there you go. I'll pop the rest in the oven once I'm off live, because I'll need to sort of rearrange them on the tray a bit. But look how much we've got. So we've got 2 of these, 1 of those, a small cake, and 6 cupcakes out of 1 marble cake recipe. I mean, it shows you, obviously, it's a 3-tier cake normally. So I've got loads of portions of cake out of this. In terms of lives for next week, I know 3 of the 4. I'm heading to the bakery this evening, so I'll be able to figure out what Dad is making, and hopefully it'll be a Thursday live. We never ended up doing the Q&A a couple of days ago, so I've moved that to this week. So on Friday we've got Q&A at 6:30. I've decided to make stuffed burgers on Wednesday because I've got some nice cheeses that would go well in the centre. And Sue and Tracy are live on Sunday making jelly chocolates. So I know the plan for those 3. Maybe there's a 4th. Around 2 was for tea and cake. You better hurry. Some of these will be going to the grandparents. Yeah, maybe there'll be a 4th, but if there is, then it will appear on the timetable. I'll pop the link in. Yeah, jelly chocolate, as in not chocolate flavoured jelly, but chocolate and jelly in a mould set. So it's like a half chocolate, half jelly. At least that's what I think it is. That's what I think Tracy was trialling earlier. There's the link to the live videos. The timetable will be updated on the website soon, once I know if there's a Thursday live or not. You can also watch the previous live videos on there as well. Thank you very much for watching. If you have a go at this recipe, then as always, post in the groups or wherever else you want on Instagram or Facebook. And it'll be nice to see. Especially if you make the proper celebration cake. If you've got a nice birthday coming up, have a go. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week sometime. Goodbye.